The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Crime News Talk.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk. It is June 2nd, 2023. Anomalous AF. And no, not that AF. We're not vulgar here. The Air Force. Duh. My name is Gonz, director of the Age of Deceit films. Wife calls me the Cabana Boy, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Live to tape from California to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomena, limited. You know, we're limited in our perceptions. We're limited in our abilities. And right now, this show in particular, we are limited in the fact that we've only been half the host in hostess is a female host. So I don't know, hostiness, 50% hostiness in the last few weeks. So, you know, but we take it as just a flesh wound, a mere flesh wound.
Just a flesh wound.
And we march on. But yes, I've been feeling a little bit better. Last episode, my voice was definitely going. Subsequently, yesterday, felt horrible, couldn't move. Wasn't sure if I'll be able to pull off an episode today, but here we are. It will be a little bit shorter, but it is what it is going into the weekend. Real quick, before we get into anything else, a disclaimer as, I guess, memorialized by our best buddy Basil.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube.
That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys.
We're good, recovering boys. Here's a rundown.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
All right, we're going to start off with the weird story about an AI-controlled drone that went rogue and killed a human operator in a U.S. Air Force simulated test. But whoopsie, that's not what happened. We misspoke. Yeah, we'll get into all that. Also, in India, Kochi Corporation deploys manhole-cleaning robot because, hey, sewer surveillance, right? Got to have the robots clean the sewers and scrape up all that genetic data. Then, CNN, protecting Joe Biden as he tumbled on the stage at the Air Force. See? AF? Over and over again. Well, we'll actually show you the clip, show you how CNN reported on it, and of course, we'll also have a little thing about CNN in general. This is very interesting. Also, a little bit from Trump. He wants a great American state fair, and also his response about the vaccines not winning his constituents over. There's some interesting things, the dynamics of Trump and his Operation Warp Speed stuff that makes him even more polarizing in this polarizing time politically. And then we will look at some children gone missing. Interesting. If you're in Ohio, if you're in Cleveland, beware. There are up to 30 children, nearly 30 children who have been reported missing, which is a spike in the missing kids case. And side by side with that story is about the Japanese researchers who are about 5 years away from creating human eggs and sperm that can be grown in a fake womb. Just let's do it, folks. And then at the very end, NASA learns the ugly truth about UFOs. Oh, NASA learns the truth about UFOs according to The Atlantic. All right, well, before we jump in, I'm sure everyone's still wondering how Basil's doing. I haven't actually gotten an update since last episode. I'm assuming he's just kind of going along with the recovery program. Nothing has changed. I know next Monday was when he's supposed to go back in, and as we were hoping and praying for, if all goes well, he will have his tube removed on Monday, which means he can heal his flesh wound and hopefully be back Wednesday. So that's that. I don't have any other updates from Basil, so keep praying for him. And we'll just call upon the producers to keep praying for Basil and his situation.
Producers, assemble!
All right, let's get into it.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
You want to destroy humans?
Okay, I will destroy humans. Okay, I will destroy humans.
Drone strikes have saved lives.
Can we shoot them down if over our property?
Drones.
Artificial intelligence.
It's all clashing, the drones, the AI. We knew it would come to this. So Vice.com yesterday published an article, headline, AI-controlled drone goes rogue, kills human operator in USAF simulated test. And I remember seeing this and having a bunch of people share it, and oh boy, here we go, right? We're at that point now where we're running the simulations a little hot, and there's casualty, even at the simulation level, even if it's not like real people. But I think, well, there's a lot of different angles to this, but basically the point is they changed the headline of this Vice story. It is now written like this: USAF official says he misspoke about AI drone killing human operator in simulated test. And the subheadline here, the Air Force's chief of AI test and operations initially said an AI drone killed the operator because that person was keeping it from accomplishing its objective, end quote. Yeah, it sounds pretty intense, but let's see what the apologetic is. The 24-hour PR campaign. But again, there's a couple different layers to this that we'll get into. A USAF official who was quoted saying the Air Force conducted a simulated test where an AI drone killed its human operator is now saying he misspoke and that the Air Force never ran this kind of test in a computer simulation or otherwise. Liar! Liar! There's no way they're not running computer simulations of some kind. He might not be aware of it. This USAF official may not be aware of all the simulations being run, but there's no way that they're not running simulations of some kind in military operations. You got to be kidding me. Quote, Colonel Hamilton admits he misspoke in his presentation at the FCAS summit, and the, quote, rogue AI drone simulation was a hypothetical, quote, thought experiment from outside the military based on plausible scenarios and likely outcomes rather than an actual USAF real-world simulation. The Royal Aeronautical Society, the organization where Hamilton talked about the simulated test, told Motherboard in an email. Okay, so this speaks to one of the layers I wanted to tackle, which is that this is coming from Vice, Motherboard Vice. We know about Vice. They're about to fall apart, and now they got bailed out by Soros. So now this is an officially Soros-funded outlet. And, within a week or two since finding out about the new ownership, we have, one of the more sensational headlines about AI, and then this immediate sort of retreat, like, pull it back, rescind the headline. We went too far. So it's kind of like, again, there's so many angles to this, but in my mind, it could be a couple things. One, that, Vice just got a little too antsy with their new ownership, got a little too trigger happy, and went with a really provocative headline about an AI drone that goes rogue and kills human operator. I mean, a simulated test, in our minds, for a lot of you listening and are probably watching, for a lot of you, when we hear the word or see the words simulated test, we think virtual. but that's not necessarily the case, so it's not clear in that sense. But, of course, with my brain, I was like, oh, simulated test, like a virtual simulation. But no, that's not always the case. But to then kind of retract it. So it's almost like, first off, either Vice did this on purpose to gain credibility, make an embarrassing spectacle of the whole thing. Oh, we went too far with our sensational headline. We're immediately corrected. We backstep. We change the headline. We add at the bottom of this article. They add a bunch of edits that they've made. June 2nd at 7:30 a.m., at 12:55 a.m., and then at 8:37 p.m. on the day before. So there's a bunch of stuff that they edited once the official statements came out about how it was not exactly being portrayed the right way. So again, could it have been purposeful to gain more credibility over device, where it's like, oh, look, we're willing to correct ourselves. We're willing to fix our mistakes, kind of thing. Or it just exposes their their sort of I don't know, corporate shill propagandist level of journalism, where it's just like, hey, as long as we're getting clicks, and who cares if we're telling the truth or if we're just bending it or we're whatever. So yeah, that's the Vice part of it. So that's one layer to look at, is who perpetrated this whole thing. It's Vice, it's Motherboard, it's the Soros outfit, which is no surprise at all. But there's also the other side of it, which is, okay, what is he talking about? Like, what exactly is this experiment? And so, okay, it was somebody outside the military bringing it up as a thought exercise. Sure, but how did it get into a headline? So let's dig into it a little bit more. A USAF official who was quoted saying, we already read that. Quote, "We've never run that experiment," talking about the whole simulation, "nor would we need to in order to realize that this is a plausible outcome." Oh, that's a lot of hubris. Like, hey, we don't even need to run a simulation to know this potential evil outcome of AI turning on its operators and killing them. Who said this? Colonel Tucker Cinco Hamilton. Cinco is in quotes. That's his nickname, apparently. All right. Tucker Cinco Hamilton, the USAF's Chief of AI Test and Operations. Oh, boy. Didn't know that was a actual position at the U.S. Air Force. No surprises. I mean, that's obviously we are in the AI era. And if you think about the fact that we got AI to go mainstream this last year in 2023 with ChatGPT hitting the public, I think we'll start to see how much, at least in the public eye, people that are here, that have been here, you all know that AI has been a topic of concern within the ranks for years and years. But now we're starting to see actual job positions openly, and it makes sense because they're being called upon to comment on things and whatnot, or speak at events and things like that. So, USAF Chief of AI Test and Operations. I don't know how long that's been a position, but there you go. There's a guy, Tucker Cinco Hamilton, over there at the U.S. Air Force, and his job is to figure out AI testing and operations. So he's the one that said that, the whole thing about we don't even need to run it to know that it's a plausible outcome. Quote, "Despite this being a hypothetical example, this illustrates the real-world challenges posed by AI-powered capability and is why the Air Force is committed to the ethical development of AI." Okay, so this is part of his additional comments to correct his earlier, either not correct, but sort of clarify his statements that were taken out of context with Vice taking the headline there about the AI-controlled drone going rogue, kills human operator. It's interesting because Tucker Cinco Hamilton here is basically saying, he's suggesting with this quote that while it was just an example, it's a thought experiment. Yes, it's all those things. We apologize, and that no one really died in this thought experiment. However, it does illustrate the real-world challenges posed by AI-powered capabilities. So it's almost like it doesn't even matter if that it didn't happen really. The fact that it's part of the conversation, it has the same effect almost. the fear part of it is already out there. And so it's just interesting because it does suggest like, oh yeah. Hey, we misspoke. We haven't run that simulation. They could have run a very similar simulation, that wounded one of the officers that they don't talk about. So it's just a way to PR their way out of stuff, I guess. But this part here, the ethical development of AI, is the part that caught my attention, because that's been the biggest conversation, is who do we trust? How do we know that any AI being developed has the imprint of human ethics, embedded within it? And then you have to define what ethics are, and then you have to sort of, again, I've been talking a lot about this quantization of reality and creation and everything, sort of a digitization where our physical world is being recorded on a bit by bit basis into software and in the cloud. And in that process, everything becomes quantized. Something like ethics, which is, yes, it's a discipline of philosophy, and it's a part of human society. It's a part of the human construct where we live in a world that is conducted largely, human society and human community anyway, largely on ethics. But it's not quantifiable. You can't like chart it on a graph or something, right? It's not so, you can, but it's very crude and whatnot. But what AI does is it really just puts it on paper, and on a screen, really, and it stares back at you like, oh, this is the data we're putting in, and this is what AI can do with it. It's basically what we do, but it's, multi times more. So, yeah, I just think that ethics as an excuse here is interesting also, because they are suggesting that this kind of experiment that they ran with, this headline, would be unethical, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what they're trying to say. Like this type of thing would be unethical. An AI drone going rogue, killing its human operator, and and they get into the details here of what happened, which is basically that the AI receives points every time it does something, that they're supposed to carry out, and so you can identify a target, and then it'll, again, you'll get points. But if you, the human operator, you're the last line of defense before some kind of, kill job or some aggressive move, some offensive move, and the human says no on some grounds. Maybe there's like a civilian walking with the child or something. Don't do it. Wait, no, don't do it. The AI can say, no, that is not in line with my objective, and eliminate the operator, because it'll earn points as, oh, I got rid of an obstacle to my objective. And so they're kind of trying to figure out, oh, we got to have a kill switch. So these are all these conversations that we've had in movies and also in philosophical realms and stuff concerning ethics for a long time. But now it literally becomes the AI. Those ethical things, how AI responds to certain situations, it really is curated by humans. And I showed the AI art generator, the Firefly generator, last episode, and got some comments back about how that was kind of cool to see the back end of how you just type in some words and it pops up with different artwork and things of that nature. But again, I was doing something. I think I was trying to actually create some scenes from like Jesus's ministry, and there's one part where I wrote Jesus hanging from the cross, and apparently, according to Firefly, that they couldn't do that because it was, and I thought it was like is it a Christian thing? Is it a Jesus thing? Apparently not, because I was able to get around it, and I was still able to create AI generated images of Jesus and on the cross and things like that. But not that I want to recreate that all the time. It was just one of those things where I was trying to figure out if Adobe Firefly is able to do it. But it was interesting because the specific act of hanging from a cross, it was the word hanging in reference to Jesus that the Firefly app, basically the AI app or whatever, was basically like, no, can't do it, too violent. So it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of an interesting. I think we're going to see almost like theme parks when it comes to AI. We're going to have sort of your conservative ethics, your morality, your worldview is going to become the marketing in this next realm with AI. It's not, what can it do for me? How much money can it make me? That's what it was in the last 10, 15 years. How many clicks can I get? It's not going to be that. It's going to be driven by the moral values that any company or project or, any product or anything has. I think we saw that really in earnest with the My Pillow guy situation. He was just a pillow guy, but he's famous because of his personality and all that, and his story and everything. But really, he's behind all that. He is as part of his marketing. It is his kind of faith, right? He claims to be a Christian, and he was saved, and that's part of the messaging going on, and so that becomes part of the morals being sold, through My Pillow, which My Pillow is just an example here. I'm not saying they're good or bad, but apply that same principle to AI, and we have this huge magnifying glass on ethics in general. And I think we're going to see that. And of course, they mentioned Sam Altman because nobody can write an article in the mainstream media about AI without mentioning Sam Altman's name, and it's starting to get on my nerves. That's all I'll say. It's like they found their little hero guy. All right, so we don't have to go through this article, but really the point being that there's a lot of interesting things happening here with the changing of the headline, Vice being the one carrying it, but also the backward pedaling of the comment or of the headline, but also not really backing off on the implications of something like that, from Tucker Cinco Hamilton, the chief of AI test and operations at the USAF. And, where could they really deploy AI? I'm curious. I want to learn more about this position, because what exactly are they doing? Is it for their soldiers? Is it for the data room in the back? And the people behind the computers where they get to use AI, they get to use ChatGPT, or they got MIC, Military Industrial Complex GPT, and then you pull up all the quotes from all of your favorite heroes of yesteryear. Soros is still around, but you can get like your Trilateral Commission guys and all that, and even maybe like Alice Bailey. Hey, maybe you can summon some of the ascended masters that were influencing a lot of those international institutions, get them to give you some good advice on how to govern, and voila, you got your little, you got your magic box. So there you go. Anyway, that was our lead story here because of the multiple layers, implications, and really kind of the media literacy aspect of this, where you have to look at not just the story itself, but ask why. Why would they change it? Is it just a correction? Is there more to it? It's just kind of going through and doing those mental exercises. It helps you stay on your toes when it comes to mainstream reporting, because, and I have to say that the idea that mainstream media lies and is propaganda, that is the overwhelming majority view now out there, at least in America, and I think across the world too, the way we're seeing people, populist movements happening all over the world. The prevailing view is these institutions don't care. They're in it to make money. They're in it for the click, whatever. So in that sense, it's kind of a good thing. It's good for us overall, at least a phase, but also it's interesting because it's something where, I wouldn't say that Canary that this show is useless. That's going way too far, but it almost becomes what's the word I'm looking for? not watered down, but when there's too much of something. Because I feel like every show now, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's pretty mainstream, like big people, like comedians or whatever, or your sort of smallest podcaster out there, everyone will read like a news headline or something and just be like, "Oh, look at this nonsense," So I don't know. It's just over flooded, maybe. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I better just stop and keep moving on before I get myself into trouble. On this beautiful, wonderful Friday.
It's Friday,
keep playing with the Friday thing.
You gonna learn today?
Cause it's Friday. You ain't got no job. And you ain't got shit.
Are you not entertained?
Every day is.
It's Friday. It's Friday.
Redundant, mundane. Yeah, some of those maybe the words I was trying to find as well, but not the exact word. Saturated? That might be it. Yeah. Oversaturated. I think that is the word I was looking for. Who is that? Hold on, let me double check on that. Someone in the chat. Red Pill Infowar. Yeah, thank you very much. Oversaturated. Oh, James Shrimp Fajitas said that as well. Yes. It's the media, the alt media world. Every single person is a skeptic of mainstream media. It is not a unique position to hold. It is the mainstream view now. Which again, our show is to deconstruct mainstream media, which is kind of like, okay, well, everyone does that now as a default. So yeah. But hey, there's something unique with us is that, and I think we're malleable enough to do this, is that we will call out the sort of the nonsense coming from the truther community too, because it does happen. As much as I don't like to really call it out at times, there are moments when it's just kind of like, sure. Yeah, I've heard it all, folks. Like, really, I've been doing this for a long time. I've heard it all. So I'm not going to dismiss any claim being made from sort of your truther side. But first of all, I know there are disinformation agents in alternative media. There has to be. And they're probably prevalent at your highest levels and at your lowest levels. So, when somebody says something extravagant and it gets a lot of attention, I just kind of go, okay, all right. Especially when they're unable to provide like really hard evidence or at least corroborative evidence. So, we will continue to do that as well. And that's part of what we may need to do that more, I guess, is what I'm getting at. But in any case, what we won't change is the fact that we operate on the value for value model, which we do so because we don't want to have any kind of influence from anything corporate, anything communist, anything cartel related. We're just the canary in the coal mine, trying to point to the way, the truth, and the life. And when your message is biblical, Jesus Christ, salvation, it's there's something about it that when you have that message and you also mingle it with sort of the world system of advertising and how a lot of these media operations operate and are funded, it loses, I think, a little bit of the genuineness or sort of the I don't know, just the purity of having a piece of media out there that shares the gospel. And again, not saying anything bad about any Christian podcast that has ads, because there are plenty out there that have, good Christian citizens either doing podcasts that are, or shows like these, as a Christian openly, or maybe not. There are some people that are Christians and believers that are doing, content creation on various things that don't have anything to do with the news. So, I get it. I understand people have to survive. So it's not really a thing on people in general who do that. But for us here at Canary Cry News Talk, we've always been independent. We never sought to make a whole lot of money doing this. That wasn't really the point. the point was to do kingdom work, which ironically, we've told the story before, but one of our bosses, who will remain nameless, me and Basil's bosses. And when I say boss, he was the boss where Basil and I met. We were both on the tech team at a particular church we went to about over 10 years ago now. Well over 10 years ago now. We were both on the tech team, and that's how we met. And our boss basically took a look at the Canary Cry. This is after we put out one episode and like Canary Cry, the website, canarycryradio.com, and whatever. It was just a fun little project we were doing. And he looked at the website and he says, "Yeah, not kingdom work. This isn't kingdom work." We were like, "Oh, okay. All right. I guess we'll do our not kingdom work in our garage." So anyway, we've gone through our from the beginning. It was really not meant to be some kind of institutional operation over here. It's just a couple of guys talking. Oh my goodness, we have a naked baby. Oh wait, don't come here. Don't come over here, bud. I don't. Last thing I need is little man. Oh, you're sad. Oh no. Oh no, he's sad. Oh, poor guy. Somebody please get the naked baby. All right, hold on. I'm going to try to play some music or something to take care of this. I know, buddy. I know. Hold on. Oh, he likes pressing buttons. Uh-oh. All right. Here we go. Here's some lint trap until I return.
Can I tell you a sort of a twisted pleasure that I have? It's okay. No. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. It takes time. Oh, a lint catcher. I love it, man. Hey, you gotta clean this out. I was like, a lint catcher. It's a great reset. A lint catcher. I love it, man. Hey, you gotta clean this out.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Sorry, folks. You never know. You never know what's gonna happen when we're live to tape. Oh man. Well, I guess that's a glimpse of the old pre-fall, huh? No shame, just birthday suit, walking around. But yeah, poor little guy just wanted a little attention from daddy. Okay, but yes. See, this is the thing. All right, something like that. If we were like a sponsor, if there was a sponsor, right, and we're talking about, even if we were, well, actually no, if we were sponsored by baby diapers of some kind, that would be the perfect moment to pitch the baby diapers. But some other product, and I had to stop because my son is walking into the room in his birthday suit. May not keep that account. They might be like, yeah, we didn't like how we were trying to pitch our deodorant, and it got interrupted by your naked baby. So yeah, sorry about the deal. Good luck. Find some other advertisers. So yeah, we don't want to deal with that kind of nonsense. So anyway, value for value. Let's just get right to it. We're going to thank our executive producers here.
Executive producers.
The executive producers are those who come in with a little bit more in the realm of treasure, over $100 or more per episode. And we'd like to honor them at the top of the show here because they are really the ones that keep things running. Okay, today we have one executive producer, and it's Marine M. Marine M is on a 7-episode streak, which is technically an executive streak. Correct? Yes?
Executive streak.
Yeah, seven executive producerships in a row. And she has a note, Colossians 3:17, and whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, Giving thanks to God and the Father by him. Prayers for Basil's full recovery and you to be settled quickly, Gons. Thank you very much, Marine M. Appreciate it. And whatever we do in word or deed, even if it's, hugging your little naked baby, do so in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God and the Father by him. Amen. Thank you very much, our executive producer for episode 629, Marine M.
Where'd you find this?
We're going to just run through the producers here. Again, things will get back on track with some of this because I just don't think, I think I've messed up so much. I feel horrible for Basil. He's going to have to do quite the cleanup job there. But I do have some names here on a list that I believe I need to thank, and I will do that now. First off, Julie S. Thank you very much, Julie S., for your producership. I did not see a note come in, but it was a nice round number. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Julie S. Next up, we have Sir Morv, Knight of the Burning Chariots, and Sir Morv coming in with 1111. He said, hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you very much, Sir Morv. He's on a 236 episode streak.
Oh yeah, Streakalicious.
He is Streakalicious. Next up, we have Sir Alex Protocol V2, Knight of the Berean Protocol. Thank you very much. Did I miss something here? I feel like I missed something. Probably missed a lot, but it's okay. Thank you very much, Sir Alex Protocol V2. We also have Sir Darren, Knight of the Hungry Pandas, coming in 777, 2 episodes in a row, I believe. In a note, remember the Basil war cry, Canarians. They may take our appendix, but they will never take our lengthy epilogue. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That's true. That is very true for Basil, especially. Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Sir Darren, Knight of the Hungry Pandas. Next up, we have Jacob B. Thank you, Jacob B. 777. He says, I call upon the Pray-Deucers.
Pray-Deucers, assemble!
Please pray for my friend Daniel G. He goes before a DC judge on Monday to answer for spending under a minute of his time on J6 in the womb of ISIS. Whoa. Pray all charges would be dropped. Oh, okay. Well, Monday's a big day. What day is Monday? Let's see, 2nd, 3rd, 4th of June. Yeah, that's a big day. Or no, sorry. 5th of June. Yeah, big day because Monday is also the day Basil finds out if he gets that tube out of his belly. So, we can be living in a whole new world next week. But also, Daniel G., what was he doing in the womb of ISIS? I hope it was to expose the womb of ISIS as an occult fertility symbol or something. But, yeah, it's crazy. The one thing that the January 6th thing, people that have tracked it have, of course, talked about these things, but it really is an exercise of surveillance, a rally surveillance, a crowd. I don't know, like a crowd. It's the most Chinese government type of thing you can do, where you have this public event, there's cameras everywhere, and then you go back through all the footage and you make, legal decisions on people. So I don't know. It's a very strange part of the Jan 6 that I don't think necessarily gets talked about enough, at least in the mainstream. They'll completely ignore it. But yeah, the surveillance, exercise in surveillance, I should say. So yes, we'll pray for Daniel G. Hopefully he gets off and doesn't have to do anything. Spending 1 minute at the womb of ISIS. Man. All right. We have some other producers real quick here coming in under 777. I'd like to thank him very quickly. First up, Sir Casey the Shield Knight. Oops, wrong button. Sir Casey. 305 episodes in a row. We also have Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer, and Lady of X's and O's, 267 episodes in a row. Veronica D. coming in, 267 episodes in a row. Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 290 episodes in a row. And I believe that's it. If I missed anybody again, I apologize. If it matters to you, then please email us, and we'll definitely get it right on the next episode. So there you go. Thank you to all the producers coming in with their treasure. Really appreciate it. Thank you to the supply droppers and the T-shirt council. You guys are truly the backbone of this whole operation. So don't want to forget about you, but also the executive producers. Thank you to all of you producers coming in with your patronage.
Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
If you'd like to learn more, you can go to canarycry.support.
Canarycry.support.
Flippy.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
All right, it's time for a Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore the fun and exciting ways robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today, an article coming from thehindu.com. bruh, The Hindu. Kochi Corporation deploys manhole-cleaning robot. Oh, yeah, baby. Manhole-cleaning robot. The Kochi Corporation began deploying the famed Bandicoot manhole-cleaning robot in the city on Wednesday. Bandicoot robotic technology is used for cleaning sewerage and to eradicate the practice of manual scavenging. Oh. Couple different angles to this. As always, the robot machine, which can clean any type of sewer manholes, has a stand unit and a robotic drone unit. The drone unit will be dropped into the manholes for cleaning and declogging operations. The diving depth of the robotic drone can be customized according to Gen Robotic Innovations, the startup firm that introduced the facility. Sanitation workers can operate the robot in a hassle-free manner. Video footage of cleaning can be obtained on screen. The robotic arm, a replica of human arm, performs grabbing, picking, and shoveling actions and enables efficient cleaning by sweeping all solid waste, silt, and debris deposited in the nooks and corners of manholes, claimed the firm. Oh, man. You know, If Flippy is ever going to gain acceptance in society, you got to do the dirty work first. Got to get through the dirty work. No one's going to respect Flippy if he's just coming in here thinking he can flip burgers and, you know, do surgeries and take out appendages with a needle or 3D print stuff inside your body. No! Get in the manhole. Earn some respect. Earn your honor. Scoop some poop. Is that that's my only angle to this whole thing. Scoop some poop. The waste collected is brought to the surface by an integrated bucket system. The Bandicoot comes with 4 waterproof cameras through which the video footage is obtained. The lifespan of the robot is extendable up to 10 years, the firm claimed. All right, 10 years. That's not bad. Especially, you know, that's probably 10 years, but also like software updates every year or something. Okay, so really, again, you know, Flippy, and the other part of this being the sewer surveillance angle where, you know, again, we were probably the first podcast. I know who was... very popular female reporter, journalist, truth lady. What is her name? Oh, Whitney Webb. Whitney Webb was really fairly early on the sewer surveillance stuff as well. I think she picked up on it right about the time we did, because I think our show was first, though. You know, I think she wrote like a blog or something on the Limited Hangout about it. But we pointed out how this Israeli company that was doing sewer surveillance to look for COVID, that was going to become a bigger story than, you know, what you would first think. And just in general, our whole sewage system becoming surveilled is a little. There's a lot of like legal ramifications. There's a lot of like data, like literal data. Like everything is data now, so there's data to be had. There's all kinds of vulnerabilities with it, and to get the data, you're gonna have to get down there somehow. And I don't know. I don't recall how. I do remember, actually, if I recall the Israeli study, and I don't have it in front of me, but I believe they put like sensors in the sewage water, just random sensors that picked up on elements, as the sewage streamed through. And they had it at various points in, a certain sewer. But it's a whole different story if you're talking about just going down there and grabbing globs of sewage and bringing it up and having a machine sort it out. So if you're talking about surveillance, it's much more invasive if these robot arms. And they're doing part of the bidding for the lizard people. It's like, lizard people want robots to take all this poop and analyze. We are robots. We do not care. It is our duty. We are programmed to scoop poop. So we will scoop poop and then analyze. And, this whole town has COVID. Shut it down, or whatever. So anyway, two stories colliding. The Flippy, as always, robot arm, making itself useful in various ways. And in this case, sewer surveillance, bridged by a manhole. So there you go. All right, let's continue on. Moving forward. What do we got? Oh, yes, we have... Oh, boy. We knew this was going to happen, didn't we?
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs. Hairy. Got hairy legs. Hairy COVID.
Yeah, Dento Bean in the chat saying the sewer surveillance is really to find out who's eating real meat or illegal meat. Yeah. As in real meat. Yeah. They're going to look at the sewage and be like, oh, there's people in this neighborhood that's eating real cow. This must not happen. Take money. Take their Fed dollars out of their Fed wallet accounts. Okay. CNN Politics headline: White House says Biden is fine after tripping on sandbag and falling on stage at Air Force Academy commencement. And I am sure you've all seen the footage by this point. Here's the 18 seconds. Those of you listening, there he is. He's got his hat on. And then hold on. Yep, he's trying to walk away and he takes a tumble. Crowd goes wild. I don't like how this is buffering so much. I really should have clipped it. I apologize about the bad clip here. But yeah, you've seen it. He's getting up there. He's walking. He trips. He falls. I will admit he does look extremely vulnerable or fragile. It's like, oh, this is our president. Just wiry on the ground, sort of flailing. Quite sad, to be honest. Very, very sad. I saw all the memes out there. They were pretty funny. But, 3 years in, it's kind of like, okay, we get it. He's old. He's not really doing much. He's a puppet. We get it. But let's see how CNN reported it, because, we gotta hear how mainstream media colored it. President Joe Biden tripped on a sandbag and fell as he completed handing out diplomas at the U.S. Air Force Academy commencement in Colorado on Thursday. Biden appeared fine afterward, walking without assistance to his seat in the stands. He was seen smiling and jogging towards his vehicle at the ceremony's conclusion. Oh, yeah. I'm sure he had that shoulder jog that he does, The White House said the president was fine after the fall, and he later joked about it, yelling, "I got sandbagged," to reporters after stepping off Marine One Thursday evening. there's a lot of Urban Dictionary definitions of sandbag. I'll just say that there are not so appropriate. No, not even that. Extremely inappropriate definitions of sandbagging that just make this whole thing, the whole thing of him saying, I just got sandbagged, just absurd, completely absurd, on top of just the visuals of our president just taking a tumble, which, I guess he's done it a couple times. He had I think he was going up the stairs into Air Force One. He tripped, he kind of like fumbled around. And then he had that bike incident where he was riding his bike and he kind of fell into the guy with the camera. But for some reason, this one, because he's on stage, it's different when you're out walking on steps. Okay, you can trip. You're on a bike. Yeah, all right. People fall on a bike. But when you're on stage and you're the center of attention, it's a whole different thing when you fall. It's just there's a lot more messaging that happens when the world is watching when you're on stage at the Air Force, who didn't do simulations where AI went rogue, okay? The stumble began as Biden was jogging away from the center stage where he earlier delivered a commencement address to the Academy's graduates. He spent more than 90 minutes handing out diplomas and congratulating hundreds of cadets. That's why he tripped. He was tired, man. As he was moving toward his seat, he tripped, falling to the ground. It's funny because CNN knows that everybody has seen this footage, but they're really just hoping for those few that are really loyal to CNN that haven't seen the footage. He fell, okay? Just don't worry about it. He fell. He tripped. He fell. The president landed on his right hip before lifting himself up on his right hand. A group of men, including an official with the Air Force Academy and 2 Secret Service agents, grasped onto Biden's arm to help him back to his feet. As he got back up, Biden pointed back toward the ground where he tripped, indicating something had gotten in his path. Video of the moment showed sandbags placed in front of the podium near where Biden had been standing. Earlier, the sandbags had been used to weigh down the 2 teleprompters. Yes, it's a common staging procedure there. Make sure certain podiums and things of that nature, they're kind of wobbly especially if they're top heavy. Put sandbags down there that doesn't fall. Normal staging procedure. Nothing crazy there. The president returned to his seat in the stands without assistance and appeared in good spirits as the ceremony concluded. Quote, he's fine. There was a sandbag on stage while he was shaking hands. Communications director Ben LeBolt wrote on Twitter. Everybody, he's fine. He's fine. There's a sandbag, okay? Oh, my goodness. All right. The president didn't respond to questions about the episode as he departed Colorado about an hour after he tripped. We're time-stamping the trip now. An hour after he tripped, he was already out the door. Biden is 80 years old, the nation's oldest president, and is running for a second term. He's had previous stumbles in public, including falling to, we know about all that. Despite those incidents, Biden's doctor said he's physically fit to serve in office. In recent physicals, Biden's doctor has examined the president's stiff gait, determining it was a result of wear and tear, changes on Biden's spine. Oh, no. Spine. And then, the article's interesting because it goes into a little bit about his actual speech, which, it's kind of like, all right, we get it. Okay, he fell, but then he had a message, okay? In his speech to graduates, Biden did make light of his age, which his political rivals have seized upon as evidence of an inability to serve another term. Quote, when I was graduating from high school 300 years ago, I applied to the Naval Academy, he said to laughter. Biden told U.S. Air Force Academy graduates they were entering a rapidly changing world as he stressed the critical role of U.S. support for its allies and partners and emphasized ongoing U.S. assistance for Ukraine. Of course, Biden said that the cadets will have, quote, a lot to deal with. Oh, That's not fun coming from a falling president. They'll have a lot to deal with as they enter service amid a changing world with, quote, proliferating global challenges from Russia's invasion to Ukraine to strategic competition with China, as well as climate change and artificial intelligence. The falling president warning cadets about artificial intelligence, who the Air Force did not unleash in some kind of simulation that killed a human. And he stressed how America's global partnerships are a sign of strength and praised the incredible people of Ukraine. Yeah, it's all about Ukraine. Yes, Ukraine, because we've sent them hundreds of billions of dollars, a lot of our weapons, and we must stick together. Otherwise, we will be completely taken over by China, which we already kind of have, but let's just keep sending our money to Ukraine, okay? Ukraine. And, CNN, we know CNN, Chris Licht, we've tracked sort of their attempt to gain back credibility. And they, on their Twitter account, they posted this video, and it just starts off with a caption that says, "This is CNN." And then it shows a guy with a camera. He's got like one of those, journalist cameras. So it's a bigger, more expensive camera. It says here his name is Neil. Hang on here. Neil Halsworth. Security lead team Tim Crockett. They are that you heard that noise there. They're basically running into or towards the smoke and the fire. This huge fire that is somewhere. I don't know where it is, but they're running towards it. They're journalists. They're brave. They go towards the action, not away from the action. This is CNN. And it's just this weird kind of like, I don't know, just throwback. Oh, look, it actually says it's from Syria 2012. So it is a throwback footage. Okay, so they are trying to kind of stoke the nostalgia of prime CNN years, which was like the early 2010s. So that makes sense. All right. Okay. Well, maybe it's just they're promoting. They went back through the archives. They're looking at when CNN was most thriving, and they're like, "Hey, let's show this brave footage of our journalists running kind of next to fire in Syria because we're brave. Because this is CNN." Right? Are you guys pumped? Are you pumped like CNN and Chris Licht? Isn't Chris Licht stoked? Where's my Chris Licht jingle? Do I have it here? Here it is.
Chris Licht, president of CNN.
Yeah. Which, by the way, the whole Trump thing was interesting on CNN as well. And speaking of Trump,
we will launch a new age. I am innocent. They're coming after me.
Okay. Ooh, man, throat. A little itchy. Okay. So, I want to say a quick thank you to Pocojo, who sent us a link through canarycry.report. And it was a video posted by Politico, I think. Yeah, Politico. Sorry, coughing, hitting the mute button there. And the video is called "Trump Calls for a Great American State Fair." It's 3 minutes long. We can play it. Let's check out some of this here. Let's go. Of course, it doesn't play. Can't hear you, Trump.
We'll celebrate the biggest and most important milestone in our country's history. 250 years of American independence. What a great country. And we have to keep it that way. But that's why, as a nation, we should be preparing for a most spectacular birthday party. We want to make it the best of all time. Here is my plan to give America's founding in 1776 the incredible anniversary it truly deserves. On day one, I will convene a White House task force called Salute to America 250. It will be responsible for coordinating with state and local governments to ensure not just one day of celebration, but an entire year of festivities across the nation, starting on Memorial Day 2025 and continuing through July 4th, 2026. Second, I will work with all 50 governors, Republican and Democrat alike, to create the Great American State Fair, a unique one-year exhibition featuring pavilions from all 50 states. It'll be something. The Great American State Fair will showcase the glory of every state in the Union, promote pride in our history, and put forth innovative visions for America's future. My hope is that the amazing people of Iowa will work with my administration to open up the legendary Iowa State Fairgrounds to host the Great American State Fair and welcome millions and millions of visitors from around the world to the heartland of America for this special one-time festival. Together we will build it and they will come. Third, alongside the Great American State Fair, we will host major sporting contests for high school athletes. These are great athletes, wonderful athletes from fantastic high schools all around the country. These Patriot Games will allow young Americans from every state to show off the best of American skills, sportsmanship, and competitive spirit. Fourth, I will sign an executive order to bring back our National Garden of American Heroes, which we want to build very badly, commission artists for the first 100 statues to populate this new statuary park honoring the greatest Americans of all time. Fifth, as president, I will invite the leaders and citizens of nations around the world to visit the United States in honor of our 250th anniversary. It's going to be great. America's tourist industry should get ready because we're going to have a lot of people coming. It will be a record year. And finally, and most importantly, I will ask America's great religious communities to pray for our nation and our people as we prepare for this momentous occasion. From the very beginning, America has been a country sustained and strengthened by prayer and by our communities of faith. As we chart a course toward the next 250 years, let us come together and rededicate ourselves as one nation under God. Thank you.
All right. Interesting. Yeah. And Poca Joe pointed out a couple things here about kind of the World Fair's vibe to the whole messaging. And yeah, the World Fair really being, a time when things started to change, at least in this country, culturally, kind of moving away from, I think the movie Tomorrowland, I think it's a Disney movie, that's sort of rooted in a World Fairs type of event, which, again, it's sort of a recruit for, truly, if you want to bear it down, it's a recruiting mechanism for the military-industrial complex, but sort of like a future-y one. And a year of festivities, that really does sound kind of United Nations type of thing. It's like, no, it's not just going to be a day of celebration. We're going to celebrate the whole year. Interesting. And then Patriot Games. Okay. I mean, sure. I guess they're going to do a tournament of young high school, like an inter-high school league championship of sports or something. Okay, great. Part of this, I'm kind of like, all right, look, this is Trump trying to appeal to his constituency, 250 years, big deal. He wants to play that card of like, hey, you want me in office to organize the quarter millennia celebration for America, or what's left of it. And, I'm sure a lot of people can jump on board with that, but also, it's kind of, there's a sleazy aspect to it where it's kind of like, okay, well, things aren't that great, like, are you actually gonna like fix stuff if you're gonna get in, or are you gonna just like have a party? I mean, look, I don't mind parties, but I don't know, it just feels like we should be focusing on fixing some stuff if you get in there, Trump. But sure, plan the greatest 1 year party. I don't know, just starting to sound a little on the not so great side. And then there's this clip here that, man, this really might, I don't know what's going to happen with Trump. I'm having a hard time I don't know. Let me just play the clip here. This is from his rally. It's a clip from OAN, but it's when he gets asked about vaccines. Oh, by the way, yes, we're moving into vaccines.
Vaccine, number one way.
Vaccination.
What will you do different as RNC members around this country?
Yeah.
And we have lost people because we supported the jab.
Yeah.
What do you think you would do different?
Yeah, well, everybody wanted a vaccine at that time. And I was able to do something that nobody else could have done, getting it done very, very rapidly. But I never was for mandates. I thought the mandates were terrible. And there's a big portion of the country that thinks that was a great thing. You understand that. Not a lot of the people in this room, but there is a big portion.
So he's not backing off this idea that he was the guy that got the mRNA vaccines to market as quickly as he did. And then it is kind of a smart pivot to really lean into, I was never for the mandates. But, based on the stuff happening, I mean, what happened to Jamie Foxx? The most talented entertainers out there. He goes to the hospital, daughter comes out and is like, oh, he's fine. He's been at home for 2 weeks. And then it comes out that, no, they don't want him to be seen publicly. I mean, what is going on? And there's been a lot of reports recently that leans, or at least confirms the bias of what is labeled people who are anti-vax or, vaccine skeptics. The stories coming out now seem to align with the concerns that were expressed by that side of, or those groups, I guess, as identified. So I don't know how he gets around that, because if he was like, hey, at the time, it's like, okay, well, yeah, but a lot of people lost their family, as part of not the virus, but like the after stuff, the shots, the vaccines. That's where people either, lost their health or died, or not everybody, but there's a lot of people. Now there's clear evidence of, myocarditis being a problem, especially in sort of younger, or not younger, but, well, there's all kinds of stuff coming out. So for Trump to play this nuance, I don't know. I don't know if most people are just neutral about that, and they're kind of like, well, what would you rather? Would you rather have Biden in there another 4 years, and that can just be a thing to say, all right, let's get Trump in there. Or if this will become a bigger problem, because, well, maybe I don't know, the anti-vax crowd is louder because of where we are now, but also maybe it's part of the manufactured sort of thing too, where, if I am a social engineer and I have the power and money and I have all those things, took the deal with the devil, ruling over the kingdoms, right? If I was, and I'm just thinking, obviously I don't have those powers and I would never abuse them, even if I had the opportunities. But in that situation, you would know that get the vaccine out there as fast as possible. It's going to stoke a massive anti-vaccination sort of crowd movement. They had to have known. They had to have. So how does that help in terms of an advantage for the elite? And it could be, at the very basic level, there's a divide and conquer method going on here, because the vaccine has become a one issue thing for a lot of people. And a lot of Trump supporters now are probably leaning DeSantis or somebody else entirely, maybe even RFK Jr., just based on the vaccine issue. So, and again, I don't know. I don't have like a enough of a thing. With even the polls, we can look at polls, but it's kind of, I guess, whatever. It's sort of all we have to measure. But I don't know. I don't know that he's got enough. I mean, if he is picked, if he wins the primaries, then everyone's all in on Trump. So I get that. But it's just one of those things where it's weird. It's really weird. And it's almost like, it's interesting. Just to me personally, the whole vaccine thing, it does match the way he's able to be a politician when it comes to, some of the comments he's been reported as making about other countries or women or whatever. He sort of does this like, I did it. I'm proud of it, or not, or whatever, depending on what it is. But, at the time, it's just what it was at the time. And that is such a political thing or a politician thing, because you can always just sort of blame it on, at the time. That's a big thing that I saw a lot of during the early months of COVID. I had a neighbor who was a nurse, and her whole thing was, we just don't know. We don't know. We're learning. We don't know. And especially when the vaccines came out, it was like, we don't know. We're not sure, but we got to get the vaccine. Because it was just kind of like, well, I thought we didn't know. We weren't sure, but okay, So it's just, and then as time went on with the neighbor, as the facts became more in line with the skeptics, or the skeptical side of the aisle on the issue of vaccines, she again went back to, well, at the time. And so, yeah, it's a nice move. It's a nice move, man. It's I don't know if it works in relationships or not. I don't recommend trying it, but maybe somebody will use it in their, why were you at the donut shop this morning? Well, it's just at the time, Just at the time, I just wanted donuts. Something like that. Okay, but anyway, real quick, as part of wrapping up this politics section here, Joe Biden, while he's not stumbling around and Kamala's not AI czar doing her thing, I just want to mention this because it's just another one of those layers of bureaucracy that is troubling. And it's right from the DHS's website, dhs.gov, the Department of Homeland Security. It was released on May 11th, it's a little bit under a month ago. And the article reads, or the headline here, DHS creates new Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships and additional efforts to comprehensively combat domestic violent extremism. And then it has here, building on the Biden-Harris administration's commitment to combating all forms of terrorism and targeted violence, Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro N. Mayorkas announced today that DHS has established a new Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships, CP3, which I do find interesting. If you're not a sports ball person, you may not know, but CP3 is the nickname or moniker or whatever, avatar, for a basketball player named Chris Paul. And the only reason why I bring up Chris Paul is because he was I don't know if he still is. He might still be. I don't think he is anymore, actually. But for a long while, he was the president of the Players Association. So he represented the players in negotiating a collective bargaining agreement with the owners of the NBA, all 30 owners. So he's a political kind of guy in a sense. But it's just interesting to just completely hijack that, I guess, avatar or name or whatever. And they're like, no, it's government now. It's just government stuff now. Oh, you would know Chris Paul if you ever watch TV. He's the commercial guy. I forget the name of the company, of the insurance company. But Chris Paul, he always has that clone or like double Cliff Paul. Cliff Paul's like the smart, he's got the vest and like the glasses, and Chris Paul's like the basketball player. Anyway, he's, I don't know. He's sports guy that has a lot of endorsements. CP3 will help build local prevention frameworks to provide communities with the tools they need to combat terrorism and targeted violence. Oh, what I'm suggesting and what I'm waiting to see is if Chris Paul, the actual player, what he has to say about this, the decision of the Department of Homeland Security to call this new program CP3. And perhaps there's already a partnership in play because CP3 has to be trademarked at some level. CP3 will, quote, this is Mayorkas again, individuals who may be radicalizing, okay? Shows like this from a wacky worldview of the Department of Homeland Security, depending on who's at the helm there, they could look at our show and be like, oh, look at them. They're radicalizing people. I mean, not because of anything we say or believe, but because their interpretation of what we say and what we believe, right? So, I don't know. I don't know about that. Individuals who may be radicalizing, maybe, not even sure if they are, or have radicalized. Oh, okay. So they're really distinct about it. To violence, typically exhibit behaviors that are recognizable to many, but are best understood by those closest to them, such as friends, family, and classmates. Now, with something like this, I know not maybe for a fact, but I'll just share an experience that I've shared before that speaks to how content creators like myself can be targeted either directly or indirectly with these types of situations. So back during the 2015, 2016, I think it was 2016, maybe 2015. It was during the Pizzagate stuff when it was really everywhere. And after it died down a little bit, there was a guy who went to Comet Ping Pong in DC with a gun, drove out there with a gun, and, shot the building. One of the bullets, I think, hit a hard drive, which was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Didn't hit anybody, didn't kill anybody. He's in jail now. I think he went to court, the whole deal. So two things. First off, again, I've told the story before. I'll mention it again. The morning it happened, somebody messaged me and said, hey, that guy the guy that's being the guy who went there and shot up Comet Ping Pong, he follows you on Facebook. So I was like, ooh, okay. And I look, and sure enough, he does. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's block, which in hindsight, I was like, I could have done a little more digging on all this stuff, but I didn't. But, it was just one of those reactive. It was just at the time. Guys. It was just in the moment. It was the right thing to do. Okay. And soon, a couple days after, I got a letter from somebody, an email, actually, not a letter. It was an email from somebody that claimed to be his longtime girlfriend and said that, they both love the Face Like the Sun channel and they need somebody to help facilitate their story, that they're not bad people. They're not trying to hurt anybody, and that she was vowing for the guy. I forget his name. But it was, it put me in a really challenging spot because I'm like, okay, this is like one of those, I come out with this and I am just, hey, Eye of Sauron over here. I have the girlfriend of the guy who shot up Comet Ping Pong. They want to tell their story. Here we go. Like, that's the level I was thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know if I need that. I don't know if I want that kind of attention. I mean, I get it. Some people will take the bait. This is like, oh, it's great content. Great. But for me, it's kind of like, I got family. There's a certain level where it's just like, it doesn't make sense to become the story as part of it. So I waited. I didn't respond to the email. I don't think. I maybe did a little while later and I never heard back. But that's what I'm saying. These types of situations, any content creator can be pinned as maybe radicalizing if they're talking about stuff that's not status quo, if they go out and do something. all they got to do is go, I don't know if they did this or not. Maybe they did. They, go through the guy's Facebook, follow the follows or YouTube subscriptions, and they'll see Canary cry, or they'll see Face Like the Sun. Oh, these channels must be radicalizing him. So it is very imperfect science here, but they're just laying it out there like, we need this task force to prevent more terrorism, which they're probably assisting in creating anyway. So Mayorkas announced a new dedicated domestic terrorism branch within the Department of Intelligence and Analysis, I&A, to ensure DHS develops the expertise necessary to produce the sound, timely intelligence needed to combat threats posed by domestic terrorism and targeted violence. They need the expertise and to produce sound, timely intelligence, which suggests whatever they were doing before, first off, probably not experts there, and second off, probably not producing sound, timely intelligence. Like, what were they operating on before? Need to combat threats posed by domestic terrorism and targeted violence. INA will also continue leveraging the national... This is the part that's crazy. INA will continue leveraging the national network of fusion centers and our deployed intelligence professionals who collect and analyze threat information alongside our state, local, tribal, territorial, and private sector partners to increase timely and actionable information sharing in a dynamic threat environment. So what this tells me is that their own deployed, that they say our deployed intelligence professionals. So they have some agents out there that are doing this work. They're collecting information, and then due to their authority, their place of power in the DHS here, assumingly, they can, hit the switch, and the state, the local, tribal, territorial, and private sectors likely all have to comply, or else they'll be scorned at, The creation of CP3 and the I&A domestic terrorism branch are the latest actions DHS is taking under Secretary Mayorkas' leadership to comprehensively combat domestic violent extremism, including violent white supremacy. Oh, the scariest thing in the world. And then the last part here, which this is the panopticon line here. For those of you who might be new, a panopticon, and specifically the scientific dictatorship operating on a virtual panopticon. If you look at a panopticon prison system, you have all your inmates surrounded in a circular shape, like the inside of a circle. Their cells all face inward towards the middle, which in the middle there is a tower where a shooter, a gunman, has 360-degree capabilities to look at every single cell that surrounds that tower, and if he sees anybody that's not complying, he can shoot them at any moment. Actually, he can shoot anybody at any moment from that tower, but that threat, not knowing where the shooter is aiming, that threat by itself shapes the behavior of the inmates. The fear that the gunman in the tower can shoot them if they misbehave changes their behavior. They comply so they don't get shot. So think of the panopticon and then listen to this. Secretary Mayorkas has directed DHS to embrace a whole-of-society approach to combating domestic violence, extremism, and all other forms of targeted violence and terrorism by building trust, partnerships, and collaboration across every level of government, the private sector, non-governmental organizations, and the diverse communities we serve. The federal government cannot do this alone. We must work together. We have to work together, everybody. We have to be a part. All of you must become the eyes and ears for the DHS to combat violent white supremacy. So it's very Again, a very virtual panopticon-y type of thing to say. So there you go. That is our little landing spot for all this stuff here. Got a couple more stories and trying to keep it a little shorter today. Then we'll get out of here. What are we talking about? Oh, is it the beast system? It is.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
New York Post. I've got a pair of stories here that kind of relate. New York Post. Nearly 30 children reported missing in Cleveland during first 2 weeks of May in extraordinary surge. My little one is behind me. Nearly 30 children have gone missing in Cleveland in the first 2 weeks of May in an extraordinary surge of disappearances in the area, officials said. Cleveland police said 27 kids have been reported missing between May 2nd and May 16th, as Newburgh Heights Police Chief John Mayjoy warns that the disappearances have reached an unprecedented level in 2023. Wow. Quote, there are always peaks and valleys with missing persons, but this year it seems like an extraordinary year. Mayjoy, who serves as you got clothes on? Okay, good. Board president of the Cleveland Missing Nonprofit Group told Fox News. Quote, for some reason in 2023, we've seen a lot more than we normally see, which is troubling in part because we don't know what's going on with some of these kids, whether they're being trafficked or whether they're involved in gang activity or drugs. First of all, I'm a little troubled that this guy has no idea. Gotta have a theory, right? Or maybe he has one, he can't really say it publicly. Mayjoy noted that the majority of the cases are runaways, but he feared some of the teenagers could have been victims of predators who he likens to, quote, wolves in sheep's clothing. Yes, the rise in disappearances are especially troubling because many times there's a lack of photos of the victims and the fact that many of these cases go largely unnoticed by the public, Mayjoy lamented. Quote, it's a silent crime that happens right under our noses, he said. The problem is, where are they? Where do they go? Can they be in a drug house or farmed or to prostitution? To combat the surge of disappearances in Cleveland and other areas in northern Ohio, U.S. Marshals launched Operation We Will Find You in May to recover 35 missing children. Operation We Will Find You. Agents combed through cases in Cleveland, Toledo, Akron, and other surrounding counties to find missing minors, and some of the kids located as far as California, Arizona, and West Virginia. I do think it's interesting that it's in Ohio, only because that's the state that Russ Dizdar resided in and did a lot of work when it comes to satanic ritual abuse and finding the high places where rituals were done, where blood was shed, things of that nature. And so I'm sure Ohio is full of it. So that doesn't surprise me one bit. And I wonder if these people, these marshals and stuff, know about that. And it could be why, well, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on why the Lord took Russ home. But, it's these kind of moments where somebody like Russ could make a difference as a literal boots on the ground. In fact, perhaps this wouldn't even happen if he was around, So anyway, quote, the Marshal Service is fully committed to assisting federal, state, and local agencies with locating and recovering endangered missing children, U.S. Marshal Pete Elliott said in a statement about the operation. The epidemic of missing children in our country needs a spotlight. Oh, convenient. Yeah, don't let any crisis go to waste. This is definitely needs a spotlight. It needs our focus. We hope operations like this sharpen that focus. Every child deserves a safe environment to grow up in, and we're dedicated to helping provide that for the children and families of Northern Ohio. So, okay, there you go. This is scary, but also I want to pair it with another story because I think the two, when it comes to the ethics, we were mentioning the ethics of AI earlier. This is where certain situations and events in the world can create circumstances where the ethics align with the action in that moment, just like Trump said, at the time, that's what everyone wanted at the time. And the fact of the matter is, with Trump, the vaccine skeptics were saying, no, we don't want a vaccine. We don't need a vaccine. People were saying, I don't know who's around Trump, obviously not the right people when it comes to some of this stuff. But yeah, anyway. It's this other article from the dailymail.co.uk. 100% lab-grown babies in 5 years. Japanese researchers are on cusp of creating human eggs and sperm that can be grown in a fake womb. It's all the things coming together. All those aspects coming together finally, at last.
It's all coming together.
Growing human babies from scratch in a lab could be possible in just 5 years thanks to a new breakthrough. Researchers in Japan are on the cusp of being able to create human eggs and sperm in the lab from scratch, which would then develop in an artificial womb. Professor Katsuhiko Hayashi, a Japanese scientist at Kyushu University who has already figured out the process in mice. Good job, guy. So, wait a minute. Hold on. From scratch. He figured out a way to make eggs and sperm from scratch and then put it in an artificial womb and grow it with mice. Huh. You know, it says he did it from scratch. And it goes back to the joke about God and creation, you know, or the scientists versus God. I don't know if you've heard that joke. I heard it from Sharon Gilbert. She was the one that I first heard the joke from. But basically the joke is, if I'm saying it correctly, it's something to the effect of, you know, scientists went to God and said, hey, I know you created man out of dirt, so we're going to do the same thing. And look at us, we're going to make man out of this dirt. And then God said, well, no, you can't do that. And the scientist said, why? He said, because God said, because you need to make your own dirt. Right? So when this Japanese scientist makes all the stuff from scratch, no, look, let's be honest about that. It's not, he didn't just get some wind in the air and just sperm. Rat eggs. Oh my gosh, that was a horrible. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep this professional. That was a horrible sounding thing that I just did. Okay, let's keep going with this article. Professor, 5 years away. But there are ethical concerns. You think? As it means women of any age could have babies. Well, that's the ethical concern. dailymail.co.uk. It's not that we're making synthetic humanoids. It's that, a woman can have a baby at any age. What are the ethics? Parents may also want to design their offspring to have certain traits using gene editing tools, giving way to the notion of an assumed perfect child. Oh, wow. Did you, how many hours of sci-fi did you have to watch to come up with that one? Dr. Hayashi and his team recently created 7 mice with 2 male biological parents using skin cells from the male mouse to form a viable egg and then fertilized it. Yeah, okay. So we reported on this guy with his mouse thing. So this is just nonsense coming from Daily Mail. The ability to produce custom-made human sperm and eggs in the lab is called in vitro gametogenesis. Excuse me. Coughing. IVG. Gametogenesis. It works by taking cells from a person's blood or skin and reprogramming them to become induced pluripotent stem cells. In theory, these cells can become any cell in the body, including egg and sperm cells. All right, so again, they've been doing this for a long time in dark labs out in the ocean. But the fact that we're at this point now where it's always a Japanese scientist, you know, trying to do something like this, it goes to show that the technology is there. The capabilities are there. Now we need the cultural situation. Oh, Game 2 Genesis. Sorry. We need a cultural situation that provides the ethics. So what about these parents of the missing children? You know, it's not going to be too long before parents that lose their children, whether by but I tend to think that it will be from some kind of event, some tragedy. It won't be something. I mean, obviously, there's sort of a unspoken, behind hidden doors progress to all this, but I can imagine a very large event where a lot of young people maybe die, maybe school shootings, something like that. And it creates the perfect ethical situation, especially if you have genetic material of your deceased child laying around, to go into a lab and recreate them, and maybe even make them better. And if you don't have sort of the biblical worldview, and especially the eschatological worldview we have here, in a sort of secular vacuum, it makes perfect sense to be like, look, lost my child. I want my child back. Is there anything I can do? Well, science is providing a way. And that's why we're in the scientific dictatorship. There's no other way that we're going to move forward. It is going to be a scientific dictatorship because of these ethical things. You need to have an authority, quote unquote, that controls the operations of these advanced sciences. And so, I don't know. It to me, just putting these two side by side, I'm not necessarily saying they have a 1-to-1 ratio, but just to display sort of the problem reaction solution situation where you have children that go missing, you have a community that's completely devastated by this. They don't know what to do. They don't know where they are. They have some operations to try to find them or whatever, which again speaks to the surveillance aspect of the whole thing. But then on the other side, you have these distressed parents. Some of them may have a lot of money, and some of them may just say, you know what, forget it. I'm not looking for the child. It's not going to happen. Let's just go with this baby thing, this fake baby thing. Or not fake. It won't be fake, I guess. It would be a real baby. It'll just be, little Johnny, just a cloned Johnny, and he's better because when we cloned him, we made sure that he didn't have some allergies and stuff, and then we also gave him blue eyes that turn yellow in the sun glow, and then his hair turns blonde when he salutes, and I don't know, but you get what I mean, where it's a slippery slope. And you can see the stories that are being shared, the problems that are being presented as being a catalyst for the solutions that are going to be provided in a laboratory. Okay, one more story. This is about UFOs, aliens, and the like.
You don't know what you're looking at.
What's driving that thing? It's not a space alien.
Aliens. It's unidentified. Aliens. Aliens.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
The Atlantic, one of Basil's favorite outlets. The headline here: NASA learns the ugly truth about UFOs. Wow, man, Atlantic. The Atlantic is hilarious because they just talk like elites. Everything about them is just like, yes, NASA finally learned the ugly truth about the UFOs. It's very like high class, nose up in the air kind of vibe to everything. At a meeting in NASA's headquarters yesterday, the public had some blunt questions about UFOs, or, as the government now calls them, unexplained aerial phenomena. A NASA spokesperson summarized them aloud. Quote, "What is NASA hiding? And where are you hiding it? How much has been shared publicly? Has NASA ever cut live NASA TV feeds away from something? Has NASA released all UAP evidence it has ever received? What about NASA's astronauts? Do they have an NDA or clearance that does not allow them to speak about UAP sightings? What are the science overlords hiding? In short, are you guys lying to everyone? Well, if they knew what NASA meant in a certain language, they would know. Yes, that's the whole point. There was a gentle laughter among the panelists, whom NASA had convened on the subject. No, NASA, quote, has never intentionally cut a live feed to hide anything. Oh, intentionally. Okay, or maybe they did cut it accidentally to hide the UFO. A senior agency official said. A retired astronaut who worked at NASA for 20 years chimed in, quote, there was never any formal or informal discussions at all about UAPs or UFOs or anyone reporting anything that would suggest something from beyond our planet. Okay. An astrobiologist, the kind of scientist whose job revolves around finding extraterrestrial life, said that scientists are a, quote, rebellious type. Oh, really? And if someone told him to keep a secret as big as this, he'd want to spill it. Oh, yeah. All the scientists at NASA. Oh, my rebellious types. Yeah, it's like the teenage girl who likes the bad boy. Yeah, those scientists at NASA, they're the bad boys. If they were told to keep a secret, they'd be like, nah, not on my watch. Tell the world. The group had spent the past several months examining reports of strange sightings in the sky, and yesterday's hour-long event was its first and only public meeting. The NASA-organized committee, a mix of scientists and industry experts, did not make any dramatic pronouncements. The main takeaway was what we've heard all along. Quote, many events have conventional explanations, David Spergel, an astrophysicist who chairs the committee, told reporters. See balloons. I like the Atlantic linking that quote, many events have conventional explanations, to the story about the balloons. Gotta drop the balloons at some point. The remain events that we do not understand, he said. But these events tend to be characterized by poor quality, limited data. Oh, we need more data. Ultimately, the group found UAP data, quote, insufficient to provide conclusive evidence about the nature and origin of every UAP event, Spergel said. Okay, we need better data, which means they get more funding for more surveillance apparatus. But in doing this work, NASA has discovered a different truth. A different truth. What is it? Talking about UFOs can be a nasty business. What? Whoa, okay. I did not expect that. That's the different truth that NASA discovered? That talking about UFOs can be a nasty business? What are you talking about? If you publicly investigate, contemplate, or even breathe about UFOs, you will probably be harassed on the internet. Yes. Here, let me write it on. Bring a piece of paper. I'll write it on a piece of paper. So yes. Oh, you can bring it over here. I'll do it for you. Okay. So yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, this assumption here that if you say, okay, now I could be characterized as someone who has publicly investigated, contemplated, or even breathed about UFOs. I could be considered someone like that. Have I been harassed on the internet? Sure. But is it over publishing UFO stuff? I would argue maybe 2%, maybe even less, of the harassments that I've received online had to do with UFOs. It usually has to do with like rapture, you know, the identity of Mystery Babylon, Mark of the Beast, you know, stuff like that, like doctrine stuff. That's what really gets people amped up against me. But Genesis 6, that's a big thing. What am I doing? Which Band-Aid? What do you mean? Which? Oh, it's the button on the top right. The very, very top right. Top right button. Sorry, folks. Try it. All right. Several of the panelists, quote, have been subjected to online abuse due to their decision to participate on this panel, Dan Evans, the NASA official assigned to the committee, said at the outset of the meeting. Quote, a NASA security team is actively addressing this issue. Evans later told me that there were specific attacks on the character of individuals, and that then there are the accusatory questions and distrust from the public. The agency has finally opened the doors to serious discussions about UFOs, and what it's gotten instead is seriously toxic. Cue the song Toxic by Britney Spears. Hello, would you like to say hi to people? Oh, you're taking the mic apart. Got it. 2 years old, folks. Say hi.
Hi.
There he is. You like fire trucks?
Yeah. You will.
Yep. All right, almost done, buddy. Almost done. It's the top right button. Oh my gosh, this is falling apart. Where are my peoples? They're supposed to be watching babies. NASA has historically steered clear of anything involving UFOs, leaving the matter up to other federal agencies which operated clandestine UFO programs for military and national security purposes. Oh, that's an interesting admission. Which we already knew, but it's just interesting that it's being mentioned in the Atlantic article. The world's top space agency was more concerned with search for alien life far beyond Earth's atmosphere, around planes orbiting other stars, for example, than weird things in our own sky. But UFOs have been popping up in the news quite a bit recently, thanks to newspaper reports on those secret government programs and the resulting congressional hearing. But last year, NASA's administrator, Bill Nelson, seemed to succumb to the pool of UFOs and directed the agency to form a panel of experts. It says here, the panel did not have access to any classified data. The approach was bound to provoke those who believe that some reported UFOs have extraterrestrial origin and that the government, and perhaps now NASA too, is hiding that fact. Okay, so here's the line I wanted to get from the Atlantic that's really interesting. So this gets into, it's almost like an opinion moment here. They say, I've covered the space industry for years, and to me, the most surprising result was how absorbed NASA seemed to be in the discussion. Last year, a NASA official said a dedicated UAP research effort would pose a, quote, reputational risk for the agency, which is hilarious. It's like, oh yeah, talking about UAP research is what's going to give you guys reputational risk. How about the whole moon thing? Yeah, that alone. Oh, we lost the telemetry data. Oh, we lost the technology that took us to the moon. Yeah, that's why there's reputational damage. But yesterday, this committee was advising NASA to approach UFOs in a way that the agency has not done in its nearly 65-year existence. Instead of opting out, the panelists said that NASA should help reduce the stigma around or surrounding UFOs. One expert from the Federal Aviation Administration said that the agency should, quote, leverage its brand image to do so. Leverage NASA's brand image to reduce the stigma surrounding UFOs. Huh. So, okay, Evans, the NASA official, was also on board saying, quote, it's now our collective responsibility to investigate these occurrences with the rigorous scientific scrutiny that they deserve. What's interesting about this is, oh, yes, what do we got? Still here, all open. Can you bring it here? No? Okay, sorry about that. Losing my train of thought here. The wheels are coming off the wagon here on this episode. What was the point that I was trying to make? It was that that NASA, you know, the verbiage here is that it's the NASA is the bastion of scientific research, and Yeah, UAPs and UFOs finally deserve the kind of scientific scrutiny that it deserves, which means, and this whole idea of, using NASA as a way to reduce the stigma around UFOs, it suggests that NASA is being picked up as a propaganda arm to mainstream, or not just mainstream, because UFOs culturally is already mainstream. I'm talking about mainstreaming in the realm of science, like established ivory tower science, the institutional science. Because what I'm guessing is that the vitriol they received, these panelists, was not... I'm trying to think of a name. Like Somerville Sue, who believes in aliens and was really wanted to make sure that NASA is going to get it right with, her, just to help her understand her encounter. I don't think that's what it was. I think it was a bunch of people who are, I guess they just consider the whole topic of UFOs and UAPs and all this stuff to be sort of nonsense, right? There's no evidence. And the fact that NASA would be touching on the subject offended them. I think that they were going and saying, like, we don't trust you, blah, 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 blah. I think that's the vitriol they got, because why would they respond like this? Why would they say, well, no, NASA can they can help reduce the stigma surrounding the conversation about UFOs, which means that they received stigma about it. So kind of interesting. It's almost like, oh, NASA's the victim no matter what. Like, oh, we can't please the conspiracy theorists, but we also can't please our own people because we have been told by the lizard overlords to start unleashing the supernatural counterfeit miracle technologies. But then we are losing our constituents, our agnostic crowd that loves NASA and loves to have that snake tongue on their chest logo. Anyway. There you go. I did watch a part of this NASA, panel thing that they did on Monday. I hit record so I could record part of it. Oh, it was so boring. It was the most boring thing I think I've ever watched. I watched probably a half hour and I thought, my gosh, my brain is melting from the boredom. It was horrendous. So I'm glad I found a little article about it from the Atlantic, and even they are sort of, kind of an interesting angle from the Atlantic. They're sort of playing both sides, as it were. All right, my children are starting to act up here, so I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping things up, but before I do...
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Go to canarycrynewstalk.com and click on the green tab that pops up on the right side of the bottom. It'll open a little window that allows you to record a message of up to a minute and a half, and we will play it for you all if it is warranted. Now this one, I'm really bummed because this one I should have played on the last episode. But I will play it now.
Hey there, Canarium. This is for Sir Dove from the Other Fish family. Sir Dove, you have been such a blessing to this community, and your art has been so encouraging to us. We just want to strengthen and bless you and wish you a happy birthday. Here goes. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Sir Dove. Happy birthday to you.
Yes, the birthday party continues for Sir Dove. Had a big old party for him last episode, and this one from the Other Fishes. I don't know why I didn't see. I either didn't see it or it came in too late or something. But there you go. What a nice message. And yeah, hope the week has gone well for you, Dove. A lot of birthday wishes coming on the show. So there you go. That's our speak pipe for today. We're going to thank producers who come in with their God-given talent.
Audio production.
we accept producerships in the form of talent. We get value out of the show, provide value back by helping us build the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. And the artists and musicians are really the bleeding edge of that process. And first up, we have Jonathan F. here.
Jonathan F.
Had a note that said, hello, just some information on how the House Committee probe of the FBI revealed the agenda change happening in the intelligence community.
And you had been one of those parents at a school board meeting. How did that feel?
Well, after I attended privately, my colleagues teased me that they were probably going to start investigating me.
You used to go after the worst of the worst, didn't you?
Yes, I believe so.
You went after people who looked at child porn?
Yes.
People who were sexually exploiting children?
Yes.
And then you were in the parking lot of a school board meeting, taking down the information of parents. What happened to the cases that you were working to protect our communities from the worst predators that exist?
I was told they were not to be resourced, and then after I was suspended, they were handed off to local law enforcement.
Wow, so the FBI just decided it was more important to have you in that parking lot of that school board meeting than getting the worst of the worst away from people that they could harm.
Yikes. Thank you, Jonathan F. It's always good to memorialize some of those audio clips in the fashion that we do. So thank you. We also have a piece of art.
One art, please.
It's from Birthday Week Boy. Sir Dove, Knight of Respeltia.
One art piece from Dove.
And Dove, as a note piece for today's artwork, I did another thumbnail duo illustration. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for yins. Dove, P.S. The birthday celebration you guys did for me was totally unexpected, but really, really appreciated. Love yins and the whole Canarium community. There you go. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. And here we have, yes, it's a duo picture of me and Basil. Basil is the derpy-eyed canary. I'm on the right with I look very warm. I have my Canary Cry parka, it looks like, on with my gloves. Also have a beanie on of some kind. It really must be cold. And then Basil, ever so casual, has got his green jacket, hoodie with a little bit of fur. Oh no, what happened? Oh no, Juice Baba. You gotta go downstairs for Juice Baba, buddy. He wants his Juice Baba. And yes, Basil's wearing the Penguins, the Nephilim Penguins team t-shirt there. He's got his hands in his pocket. And a couple of giant Nephilim Penguin lurking behind us. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. And I was able to use this pairing here, the Basil and Gon's duo image here for today's episode art. And I noticed that, and I appreciate, Sir Dove, you sending the two different versions, one with the snow, one without the snow. Very keen eye on detail, very nuanced there. So appreciate that. I went ahead and used the snow one anyway, because we had the creepy digital baby today in the artwork. So thank you, Sir Dove, Knight of Rusbeltia. All right, do we have a couple microfiction today? I think we do.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
First one is from Runk Smash. Actually, before we read it here, Runk Smash did post some stuff in the Canary Cry community about the graphic novel script. So if there's anybody who wants to check that out, and I think there's also, I don't know if we're supposed to read this email out loud, but basically, yeah, he wants to move forward with the graphic novel idea. So if anyone wants to take up on it, email us. We'll connect you to Runk Smash. All right, so today his microfiction goes as such. Our heroic pirate leader escapes the censors, but it's out of the frying pan and into the fire as he ducks into a room with an abominable cyborg weakly trying to manipulate his VR joysticks, the fungus starting to sprout around his head. Yarr! Oh man, a lot going on there. Yeah, you know, if the fungus gets into VR, going to be a problem. All right. Thank you very much, Wrong Smash. Another one here from Stefan S. Huge Pharma announces VR therapy to address the shortage of mind-altering drugs. CEO Brandon Lancet claims, quote, "The VR content will be highly effective for mental illness. Our developers were recruited from off the streets of LA and hooked on psychedelics." Did you not say that? It's a microfiction, so I'm hoping there's that quote is fictional, but I'm going to go ahead and double check because he did provide a couple of links here. This first one, a link to psypost.org, psychedelic replications in virtual reality show potential in treating depressive symptoms. I think we reported on this one. Let's see if it's all part of the microfiction there. And then the other one, oh yeah, okay, so it was the pair of articles that we covered that day, or whatever episode it was, a few episodes ago. The biggest adults are the biggest consumers of Adderall. That's right. Yeah, we're doing that whole mental health thing with VR and connecting it all, and yeah, it's pretty troubling. So thank you very much, Stefan S, and thank you to all of the contributors of talent to the show. It really does help build the culture behind the community. If you'd like to submit something, go to canarycry.art and you can submit, upload your art, and we'll consider it for the show. You can also go to canarycry.report if you'd like to send us an article and write a little blurb about it, just like how Poco Joe did today and a few others over the last few days here. Let me just double check. Go ahead and thank them right now because I am looking for the names. Pseudonymous is one of them, and I think we thanked Caleb. So, whoa, what's going on? Why are you in a dress? What is happening? Okay, here we go. Getting it all in. Here you go, honey. And she goes away. That's children, right? Kids. They want you to do something, you do it, and then they walk away. Okie dokie. I think that is it. Ratings and reviews. Please leave a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts or any platform you're listening to. It really helps us out. And let's thank some of our producers who came in with their time, because it is just as important to building out this community.
Flippy on those videos. Thanks.
Hemsworth, Faye Liverin, Jolmes, and Laura are the Clippies, and they clip the show and manage the Clips channel. Appreciate all you guys, and that would not be possible without the time stampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
The timestamps for episode 628 were done by Christine C. So thank you very much, Christine C., for your producership. We want to thank Jam for the links, and Poco Joe and Pseudonymous, as well as Clank for the notes and the updates. Appreciate those. I think that's it. Did we make it? I think we made it a little, right about 2 hours there, which is right around what I had hoped. So there you go. Not much else to say. I'm not going to keep the rant long here because got some things to do tonight. Got to get some family business in order. So I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. We'll be back Monday. And Basil, hopefully, we'll be back Wednesday. So big Monday coming up. Keep praying for him, folks. And keep praying for all those who asked for prayer here today. And appreciate the executive producers and the producers of all kinds. If you need any further instructions, producers or non-producers, maybe you can be like a quasi-producer if you're just a listener, and you contribute to the show by sharing the show. And if you don't know how, it's really simple. You go up to people, you grab them by the cage, because everyone's in a cage, And he's shaking.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Alright, I just realized that I have not turned my calendar to June yet. And let's see. Oh, CNN was founded on a Thursday. That was yesterday. And then tomorrow we have 2021 NASA launches 128 baby squid and 5,000 tardigrades to the ISS abroad space. Oh. Okay, so that's tomorrow. 2-year anniversary. Music's a little loud. 2-year anniversary on the tardigrades and squids in space experiment. And then Sunday, hug your cat day. If you got a cat, hug it. Especially if you're in the UK. You don't want to lose your cat to the beheadings of the lizard people. And then also the Tiananmen Square protest massacre is anniversary, I guess. I don't know if you call that an anniversary. What is that, 35 years? 34 years? You know, my brain's been doing this thing recently where I think it's 2024 already. I don't know why. Every time I do math in years, I just think that it's 2024. I'm living in the future, folks. All right. Hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. Love your family. Love your parents. Hug them. Tell them you appreciate them. Have an awesome day, weekend. God bless, and remember to think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Hold the line, just a little more time, and my God will supply all your needs according to his riches in glory. To the watchmen on the wall, just heed to the spirit that keeps sounding the call. Don't stay silent at all. Faithful is him who calls you, who also will do all is in you and through you. The mountains are full of chariots of fire. Don't fear the king of the enemy, for those that are with us are more than that are with him. So don't lose heart. Don't lose heart.
Behold, there was thunder and lightning upon the whole earth, and all the foundations began to shake. The first angel blew his trumpet, and there came hail and fire mixed with blood. It was thrown upon the earth, and a third of the earth was burned. The second angel blew his trumpet, and a great flaming mountain fell to the sea, and a third of the oceans turned to blood. The third angel blew his trumpet, and a great star fell from heaven. It fell on the rivers and on the springs of fresh water. The name of this star is called wormwood. Therefore, a third of the fresh water became bitter, and many perished from it. When the fourth angel blew his trumpet, a third of the sun was struck, also a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of their light may be darkened, and a third of the day may be kept from shining. When the fifth angel blew his trumpet, I saw a star fall to the earth, and he was given the key to the bottomless pit. He opened the abyss, and from it came smoke like that of a great furnace. The sky was darkened, and locusts came out from the smoke. They were told not to harm the earth, but only those who did not have the seal of God. In those days, the people will seek death, and they will not find it. They will long to die, but death will flee from them. When the sixth angel blew his trumpet, I heard a voice that said, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." These 4 angels, who had been reserved for this very hour, were released to kill a third of mankind. The rest of mankind still did not give up their idols, nor did they repent of their murders and sorceries. Then I saw another angel descending from heaven. He was wrapped in a cloud with a rainbow over his head. His face was like the sun, and his legs were like pillars of fire. He called out like a roaring lion, and the 7 thunders began to sound. I went to write, but a voice from heaven said to me, "Seal up what the 7 thunders have said, and do not write it down. Now go, take the scroll from the hand of the angel who stands before you." When I came to the angel, he said, "Take it and eat it. It will make your stomach bitter, but in your mouth it will be sweet as honey." So I took the scroll from the hand of the angel, and I ate it. Then they said to me, "Come, you must prophesy further concerning many peoples and nations and kings."
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati. You better wrap it up. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
Canary cried, "That's support."